Hey, 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 hey. Okay. Out to the pay for the grass is always greener. I don't do no labels, I call it how I see it. Okay, out to the pay for the grass is always greener. I don't do no labels, I call it how I see it.
What does the future look like for your podcast?
Yo, this is Side Effects with the No Label Podcast, and we're in season 7. Man, it's been a journey for sure. But what I need you to do is go to nolabelthepod.com, sign up for that newsletter, and stay up to date with everything that's No Label. We just came back from TO, and we're doing our podcast tour. You know what I'm saying? So check out, sign up to the newsletter. You'll get all the updates and everything you need to keep up with No Label the Pod. Today, we're sitting down with a DJ from the town. It's funny because, man, we go back. We go way back. I've told stories about me teaching on here, but my first job ever in a school, I was mentoring, and one of the classrooms that some of my students would go to was this man right here, and I introduced him. He told me he was a DJ. I'm like, word, okay, we go. I love music too. I work with artists, and then next thing you know, finger snapped, and this man is everywhere. I'm talking about P's Rooftop. I'm talking about weddings, events, everything, and his name is one of the best DJs in the town. And it's an honor for me to know him and sit next to him and talk to him. Mr. P Nasty himself, DJ. How you living, man?
Man, I'm living very. You said the best. I'm just very fortunate to be so embraced by the town, man, and I can't thank the town enough for the support and the love. And I think Biggie once said, whoever thought hip hop would take it this far, and I always say, like, I never thought DJing and teaching would take me this far. And like you said, I've been fortunate enough to go to Paris to DJ weddings, and that was my first experience in Europe ever. So shouts to Cream and Hyro. They took me out there, and they're from Buffalo, and I love them to death, and they treated me as family. But I've been so embraced and so fortunate with the opportunities. I love Buffalo.
Yeah, man. When you're good at what you do, people will look out, man.
Yeah, if you smile a lot too.
Yeah. Were you born and raised in Buffalo?
Yeah, so I was actually born and raised in Lewiston, which is not far.
Not too far.
Yeah, not too far from Niagara Falls. But becoming a teacher and being in the school system, it brought me to Buffalo, and I think, like, that's been the best part about it is you think I was born and raised in Buffalo because of how well everybody's embraced me and taken me in, and it's just I'm forever grateful.
Nah, rightfully so, man. You've been a great addition, and just even from my time, like, I always love to see people, like, outside of, like, off the camera and, like, in their own element, and me seeing you, like, in the classrooms, it allowed me to, like, I like that guy, and it made me that much. It made it that much easier to support you when I saw you DJing, and it's like on top of it, it's like the mixes is crazy, the events, the energy in the room is on point.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, this is the guy.
Yeah, I always say, like, I'm super fortunate my students allow me in their lives, and then they keep me in their lives and the family. So, I appreciate my students for current, former, past, all that stuff. I love them to death.
Absolutely. So as a kid from Lewiston, what got you into music and DJing?
Man, music started super early with me as far as, like, my parents, my grandparents. But, my parents were always big into music, cleaning the house, or just, going to my grandparents. Sinatra was always very big, and just jazz music. And, I remember just sitting around my parents' fireplace, and my dad playing records and things like that. So, and just being a big part of car rides as kids growing up. We didn't have the streaming, so you had to wait for songs to come on.
Absolutely.
But definitely, my parents, and then being a couple of my older friends, and my sister was a little bit older than me, just introducing me to, like, some hip hop and just.
How old were you when you got introduced to hip hop?
I would say, like, hip hop's always been a part of me, like, as a young kid, but, like, you know, I just 1996 was such a year. Reasonable Doubt, you had Outkast, Foxy Brown. Fell in love with her, you know, and
We all did.
yeah, we did. She still looks good too. Black Don't Crack. But yeah, 1996 to me is such a pivotal year for hip hop and just so much. I mean, Notorious B.I.G. is one of my favorite ever to do it. And obviously, I remember like having to go back to Nas Illmatic, not go back, but I mean, like, in, you know, it was a little bit before. I think it was 1993, so it was really before 96. But just I wasn't old enough yet, right? So I kind of, you know, as I got, you know, in that 96 era, I was probably about 11. 11. I started to really understand it, and, you know,
Word.
and I always say, like, anytime I went to New York City because of those hip hop records, I would try to go to those certain spots and just try to get context.
Yeah.
I wanted context.
That's interesting. Because it was funny, like, the person who taught me about hip hop and, like, the history of, like, New York City was, shout out to my professor, Justin DeCenso,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying, at University of Buffalo. Italian dude, you know what I'm saying? And it was hip hop and social issues. And we talked about the origins, and, like, we led up to everything. And I'm just like, I was like, this is dope. And it's just like, part of me is like, yeah, I was like, I'm learning about hip hop from a white dude. Like, what the fuck? But it was also, I'm like, the respect he had for it allowed me to appreciate it, and he respected me and my opinion of it, and we were able to, like, enjoy this together. You know what I'm saying? And,
Yeah.
and that's what made it dope.
Well, I think too, like I said, the jazz music. So like those samples were a lot of times taken from jazz. So those early jazz that my parents had got me into, and you know, I remember my parents being big into like the '80s and a lot of funk music too. You know what I mean? So, but like a lot of those samples were eventually sampled in hip hop. So I think like it was a given. Once I heard one of my favorite like jazz or funk records sampled, I'm like, oh, and you know, I think, you know, in big respects to current artists, but I think, you know, the past artists had a little bit more fine tuning with like samples. They were a little bit more sacred, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were done a little bit more tastefully, I think. You know, not to say they're not done now, but I think back then, I think that maybe it just was the nostalgia too for me back then.
It could be. It's there's a thoughtfulness that went into it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like a connection at some point. Before you found turntables and started DJing, did you ever like try to produce or rap or anything?
No, never any of that. Just more so like I remember just being a kid watching music videos with my cousin Nick. Shouts out to him. And you know, making like CDs for people. Oh God, it's gonna take me back. But you know, I remember like making I quote unquote mixtapes, but obviously it wasn't me rapping, but like, you know, just having access to LimeWire. I hope this doesn't get
what?
Hopefully no feds are watching.
The
but,
Bill
you know,
Clinton, Clinton one. You think you got the Jay-Z, Nas, and Big L?
Well, actually, it would be OG like Napster, but like, you know, just I remember making stuff for people and like, you know, like that. Not that was my first interest in like DJing, but like, you know, and then like, to be honest with you too, like house music actually like was really kind of what sparked my interest with DJing. I loved hip hop, and you know, like, you know, remember like seeing things, you know, it wasn't social media, but like I remember like hearing about the Tunnel, you know, Funk Master Flex, and I had I met him later in life, but you know, he's my brother, my son's godfather, my boy DJ G Money, Gary Hall. He's like 10 or 12 years older than me, and he's taught me like so much more about hip hop as well. But like to your point, like I think like really meant, you know, it was more so just like putting good music in people's hands.
Absolutely.
You know, and like that feeling of like when you gave somebody that CD and they were just like, you know, and I remember, you know, riding the bus with a Discman that didn't skip and a walk, you know, just
Man, it meant something to like, I'm going to share some music with you because like this means something to me.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, oh, I just sent the text, or I don't even think people like. I say this: music is one of my love languages.
Yeah,
so
me,
it's just
me too. Yeah.
If I can pass you the aux cord and you play some shit like, you're staying around. Shorty, you staying around. Like,
well,
I don't know how smart it is, but like we're rocking together right now.
Well,
like,
and I think too, like also too, like I think it also like a lot of times too, people trusted me, like they might not have known what I was putting on there, right? And like, and you know, you didn't, like I say, it wasn't as around available, so like to like you like literally individually pick things, right? And you know, picked like what you put on. Then I remember like, you know, in you know, middle high school, you know, going to high school, I remember like putting like certain songs on there for girls. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember I made my first burn CD for Shorty on the bus.
Yeah, see,
I'm like, yo, thinking about you. And
Yeah.
recorded these songs. I had to wait by the radio all night to hit record.
Not to mention too, back in the day you had dial-up, so somebody called the phone, you messed up your whole download up. You had to go back and find that joint. Oh.
Yeah, man, that shit was real.
It took time, you know.
Yeah, it's the energy, the attention it took. What high school did you go to? You said in Lewiston, right?
Yeah, I went to school called Lewis and Porter. You know, it was cool. Graduated 2003.
How big was the class?
Gee, I'm not even sure, but you know, I might guess 300 students or 400 students. I mean, it was average size school.
Yeah, that's healthy.
You know, and like it was cool.
Word. So right out of high school, did you end up coming to Buffalo or?
So I ended up going to I got a shout out to my mom, my dad. You know, they're still married, high school sweethearts. But my mom was like, you know, go to NCCC at Niagara County Community. I'm like, I don't want to go. It's the 13th grade. Da 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 da. She goes, go for a semester. If you don't like it, you can go somewhere else. So I went. I fell in love with it. Best decision I ever made. And then I ended up going to Niagara University. So I really didn't. And I would say like that would probably be like one thing if I could go back. I would like maybe have went to school out of town. To get that, even like Buff State and like lived on campus, just to get that different feel.
Yeah.
I stayed with my parents, you know. I started working a latchkey program for the Boys and Girls Club, and that was kind of my introduction with the youth because I wanted to be a teacher. And then I went to Niagara University, so you know, and then I didn't move to Buffalo until I started teaching in Buffalo. I taught for Niagara Falls School District for 3 years. It was a time when teaching was saturated. There weren't many jobs. I was a building-based sub making $100 a day.
I've been there.
And I remember like going to, you know, and basically you were like a whoever was out that day. And I remember just wanting that feeling of having my name on the door. I just remember like, man, because you would constantly go into these rooms that weren't yours, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, it was always tough to like not, but in like that was a grind, like showing up every day and you know, then there was an opportunity that came across the Niagara Falls School District, and you know, unfortunately, I wasn't interviewed for it. And wasn't considered for it, even though I put my time. So Buffalo had reached out to me. I had applied for a job, and I took my first job at iPrep Grover.
Okay.
Right when it was the last year at Grover, and iPrep was phasing in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Shoot, were you DJing at this time or no?
Yeah. So when my first introduction to DJ was a guy named Mike Warren. He was an electrician. At the New York State Power Authority. Here's a crazy story about that. So shouts out to my Uncle Vic because he introduced me to Mike Warren. I needed my windows tinted. I had a Scion TC. I go to his apartment to pay him, and he's got DJ stuff laid out. It's like Memorial Day weekend. He's like, oh, I was like, you DJ too? He's like, yeah, why? What's up? You like music? I'm like, yeah, who doesn't? He's like, listen, I got a wedding every weekend from here until fall. If you want to come with me, I'm going to date myself, $10 an hour, just hang out, throw a suit on. And you know, you can help me unload the equipment, and just hang out. And Mike mentored me and took care of me and really showed me the foundations of DJing and just
that's fire.
And that he like so like this will be year 21 coming up of DJing. So I was like, you know, early into college when I first started DJing, and you know, Mike spent a lot of time with me, and you know, I would say like even drawing me pictures of how to hook things up when he wasn't with me at events, and he was really heavy into his church, and he would send me to events for like fundraisers. He would tell them, you know, it's free, but he would just send me with all of his equipment, say, listen, I'm going to pay you that same rate. Get used to using the microphone, get comfortable on the microphone. If you're calling raffle tickets, it gets you comfortable up there. If you make a mistake, it's not a huge deal, and he really set me up, man.
That's fire.
In a great way.
Yeah. It made me think of Grandmaster Flash. Because Grandmaster Flash, he was an electrician.
Yeah.
And he made the double disc.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah. Good connection. Yeah. So and Mike was from Rochester, but he lives here now, and I still talk to him often. So
that's super dope. That's super dope. And it's like, because we share the similar journey of just like music and education. In DJing, what did you learn from like DJing that helps you like in the classroom or vice versa? You know?
So walking into because I was DJing before I had my own classroom, walking into a wedding, seeing the demographics anywhere from age like little infants to ages like in the people in their 90s. Okay, you have to engage these people and get them to laugh, or not laugh, but get them to entertain them, right? So I applied that same philosophy to the classroom. You know, you have young adults from all different backgrounds, even different ages. So how can I sell to them and get them engaged? Because, you know, some of the stuff we're reading in the classroom, it's even a little dry to me.
For sure.
Real talk. But I think like being a DJ really taught me to have that presence in front of people, get comfortable talking in front of people, and really helped me to kind of plan ways, like like at a wedding I would kind of like plan out like during my cocktail hour when I could kind of run a playlist. I would kind of look in the room and kind of just, okay, what am I going to go to for this? And, what am I going to try to? And, some stuff worked out great. Some of it failed miserably. But I think, like, the ability to be able to transition quickly is what I needed in the classroom. So my dance floor could die when I was doing a wedding, and I had to quickly bring it back. Same thing with the classroom. I could be teaching something that could die. I gotta reel them back in, right? Yeah. So I think, like I said, translated, and then being able to translate. I'm in love with like poetry and figurative language. So being able to take their music and our music and all the music and being able to incorporate it into like poetry and, I would say like I would do my poetry and I would start off, they would walk in, they'd all sit down, middle school. And all of a sudden I would just start playing Mobb Deep Shook Ones, the instrumental. And they would be like, and I could teach that class 10 times, 10 out of 10 times, one student's going to get up and just start rhyming words. And I'd say, yo, stop the record. What? I'd be like, yo, welcome to poetry. And that was it. And then and so like, because everybody knows that instrumental, so.
Nah, that's tough. I was playing Shook Ones in my classroom the other day.
Yeah, as you should, man. That's like, that is.
I can't, like, even as an educator, I can't, like, not have music in my classroom. Like, I teach math.
Yeah.
Math is already known as being boring. So it's like I'm going to play music. Like, music has to be played while this is going on, and it's like I'm going to show you how it's going to connect to your life.
Yeah.
Like one way or another. Like that's one of my biggest like pet peeves.
Well, I think too, even like and I think some of my people in education understand too. Like when the students come in the room, it doesn't have to be like hype music. If they walk in and it's just like calming music, that you don't have to have the most current music playing with the current. Like you could. If young adults come in, you got some jazz or just some calming music.
Changes the whole mood.
Yeah, they walk right in. It's welcoming.
I tell my kids all the time, they be like, "Oh, I like to play like late '90s, early 2000s music."
Yeah,
and it's like you always playing this old stuff, da 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 da. And it's like I was like, okay, like you see how you're able to work when I play this? Like now, if I played some NBA YoungBoy, you wouldn't even be able to sit in your seat.
Focus, yeah, it's there. The focus definitely there,
and
right?
It's just like and it's like music has that ability to move people.
Yeah,
and just like from your time as a DJ, does it feel good? It's like, yo, I know I can play this song and just like move everybody. I know everybody gonna get moving after.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have those go-tos, right? And I think like that are synonymous with every audience, right? And you gotta think about the artists that actually came out with that music, because like wow, they're like their autonomy with everybody. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy that they can reach everybody and everybody knows. I mean, Drake is an A-list guy. I mean, no matter what age group or who you are, Drake, right?
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter what side you're on, right? I mean, even Hov, Jay-Z, happy birthday. Today's his birthday today.
It is,
yeah. But like he's another guy too. And even Biggie too, like for sure. But like, cause I noticed like no matter how much older I get and the students are coming in because they're further away from me in age, they still know a lot of. They're still being knowledgeable, that kind of stuff. So
that's one of my goals. Is like I'm playing older music because I need you to know where this comes from.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't know until college I was going to be a DJ. And I tell my young adults, I'm like, I took 5 years of Spanish. I didn't know that it was gonna.
You fluent?
No, but I still knew enough of it. Like I didn't realize that I was going to be DJing at Taco Tuesday at a reggaeton spot, and playing like. So it's all They're like I was like you're not in the moment. You don't necessarily know why you're taking something, but like and like to your point with the music, like I remember my dad playing stuff, and I'm like like he was some of the stuff when I was younger. I was like Dad, like put on the 937 or 90 whatever. And he was like, nah, I want you to hear my stuff. And now I see the value of it, right?
Word.
And not now, but as I started DJing, Dad, remember that sample? And yeah.
One of my favorite things is like playing in like a song, and then I'll double back and then play the sample.
Yeah.
The song that it got sampled from. Then the kids are all looking around like, that's what the. Just looking.
Man,
just nod my head.
Yeah,
like,
I love samples, man. I think samples are probably one of my favorite parts of music. Just the samples of the music and the stories that kind of go behind them, right?
Word. So, what's one of your favorite parts of DJing? Like,
Favorite parts? I think the smiles and people's. I mean, when people come to see a DJ, I think, or like people that are just, even if I'm like in a spot where I'm just kind of like, I've done some stuff at like plazas, or like, like even like the Taste of Ball. People could be in a bad mood. I think you kind of hit on it. When they hear music, it kind of changes where they're at and kind of puts them in a different spot. But I think I would say like another big, the relationships that I've been able to build. Those relationships by people that just come in to see me DJing, and it's led me to be on boards with Lindsay Taylor, Beaufort Music and Arts Festival. So, it got me onto that board with Lindsay, and it gets me to he let me he has me doing like an education piece with that, with students. And I think probably, aside from being able to make people happy and smile, I think like, the relationships that I've been able to build, whether it's with venues in the area, the owners of those venues and the contacts, and I think just all the people I've had an opportunity to meet throughout the years. It's but
No, that's a plus.
It's incredible.
You can't beat it. What you were a part of the private parties too, right?
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, so Gianni, Anna, and I, we were, shouts to Gianni, Anna, shouts to my whole team, Pat and Steven. Gianni was booking me for some stuff. We were doing stuff, and I think it was like the November. We were at the Oak Room last year. Shouts to Dennis and Kurt. They've given me so many opportunities too. Oak Room family, so they've always taken good care of me. But my point is, we were talking about like, yeah, we want to like bring like a boiler type room set. So we just started kind of just scheming, and then we were like, okay, we need somebody to videographer, photographer. So yeah, and it just kind of organically built, and we've always kind of, I think like the thing that people need, they're like, oh, you're not DJing again. I'm like, listen, I'm okay with not, it's kind of, I was like, it's kind of what Pharrell said at one point in time. And like, Pharrell's like probably one of the, like the people who I like admire the most in music and talent and his humility. He's like, I'm okay being the guy behind the guy. So I don't know if that needs a pause, but like, he's okay when he was producing, when people didn't really know who he was. And I think like with the private party, I'm okay being behind the scenes. It doesn't always have to be me. I want to show that the town has so many great DJs, so many great venues. Like we try to always have it in different spots, like Miss Eye Candy, shouts to my girl Siobhan. We've had it at Lloyd's, we've had it at Coquito. So like, it's just to show, like, highlight the town and the talent and our people and our audience and the people that come. I appreciate the people that come.
Yeah, and it creates a real sense of community.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part that I feel like I want to emphasize is because like you being in the schools, it's like I'm with these people every day, and then I'm coming to the events and I'm helping curate this event, and then it's you do the private parties, the bar nights, the even giving back food.
Yeah.
Like I was I went home, might have been like Thursday, Friday, a little bit after Thanksgiving, and I'm watching a recap video from Candles in the Sun, and
shout out to Kari.
Shout out to Kari, Candles in the Sun. I see you passing out food in the community.
Yeah, and if I'm being honest with you too, it's like I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm like, man, he got me on camera, and my mom, I think I was around my mom. She's like, and I'm like, well, I was like, like, I've always been a big person of not necessarily being seen with it. I was like, not necessarily not being seen, but like I don't do it obviously for the applause or the accolades, because I always say like at that point, are you feeding the hunger? Or are you feeding your ego, right?
Literally.
So like, yeah, like I was like, my son's mom had him this year for Thanksgiving. So I was like, okay, I know I'm going to my family's for Thanksgiving morning. Is there anything that I could do Thanksgiving morning, because I don't have my son? He's with his mother this year. I was like, you know what? I'd love to, and then Kari posted that. I'm like, done. I'm in. Yeah. So like, it was an honor that you let me be part of it.
And it was funny because it was like, I was in the kitchen and I was like, I was the one making the
kitchen cooking stir fry.
And I'm like, I used to be at the sites passing out, and I'm like, I miss seeing the people there doing that, and I'm like, I was like, oh shit, he's
there. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, he helped me.
And too, like I think like your point, like, and I do a lot of stuff with Dion Dawkins too.
Okay.
And like I DJ a lot of his stuff through Dion's Dreamers, and I think the biggest thing was, so between that and like even with Kari, like if I have an opportunity to be in our community, to do things in our community that I live in, teach in, I'm gonna 100% take that. And like a lot of the stuff with Dion keeps calling me back and giving me opportunities to volunteer my DJ services, and like I have no issue with that, because like it's like it's 100% the community,
Rightfully
right?
so.
And for a community that constantly shows up for me, I'm gonna show up for them. Like it's reciprocated, you know what I mean? So any way that I, and like, you know, I always say, like, when people come see me DJ, I think one thing that kind of differentiates myself from, and I don't know because I don't ask around, but like I always want to step out of my DJ booth, and I always want to like, oh my God, thank you for coming. Let me get you a drink. Or, you know, just thank you for taking the time. And they're like, well, of course we are. I'm like, but, you know, it's cold out. You had to find a sitter. Any number of things. And, you know, like, you took the time to come out. And, like, I just like to show people thanks. Because if not, I'm DJing alone.
One by itself, right?
Yeah.
It goes a long way. And I think it's the intangible things that take us to that next level. You know what I'm saying? It's always the things you don't see.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps us afloat. It's the oxygen in the air. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and like I said, the community, I think, and you've said it you've brought up community. I think I've heard it, it's like community builds immunity, but like, and I think like to that phrase more so targeted to like it keeps us safe. Like, you know, it just, like I said, the community's been good to me, and I'll give back to the community anytime that I can.
One hand washes the other.
Yeah.
How's the DJ, like specifically like the DJ community within Buffalo?
It's definitely it's been they embrace me. You know, there's sometimes I don't hear it directly, but there's been sometimes like I try not to pay too much attention to the negative portion of things. You know, because I like to give advice, and sometimes people hit me up for like, yo, I see you're everywhere. Like, what can I do? And you know, sometimes I think Jay said, like, in a story OJ, like, I gave you, you know, game with $1 million worth of game for $9.99, but like, you know, some people, you could tell that some people don't want it. Like they come for advice, but they don't want to necessarily listen to that grind that you did. I think a lot of times everybody's looking for that viral moment, unfortunately. And I think that I would tell people, like, it took me 18 years to go to Paris to DJ at somebody's wedding. I'm not saying don't chase your goals, don't chase your dreams, but like realize that there's a timeline. I don't think when I first started, if somebody came up to me 3 years in, hey, do you want to come to Paris to DJ a wedding? I don't know if I would have been built for that. Honestly, because like she had like this super good wedding planner. It was like very elegant. Manny from the Cellar, Yusuf Burgos, he had me out there in New York's Long Island for his wedding.
Dope.
Ruben Studdard was singing like, and my point to that is like, that was 20 years of experience I had under my belt that helped me to be able to make sure, because he's a good friend of mine, he's family to me, and he brought me out there, and I wanted to make sure that like every detail and every I and every T was crossed, because like, and I think like the 20 years of experience. So my point is like, the DJ community, I think sometimes can be a little bit, they want to gatekeep sometimes. And like, I've been DJing for the casino, shout out to the Senate Casino. I've been with my boy Tone, who takes good care of me over there, and my boy Christian. But they've asked me, like, hey, you've been with us quite a long time. Do you refer this DJ? This DJ's reaching out to us. I'm like, yeah, like, you know, I think you should give him a shot. And I always say, like, I think J. Cole said one time, like, sometimes, you know, you give them a rope, they'll hang themselves. Like, and you know, I don't want to block anybody's blessing. But you know,
hey, they'll do it for them. They'll do it themselves.
But I will say like this. I think like me. So when I see DJs post things, as long as it's something like positive, or it's like, you know, in relation to what they're doing as a DJ, I'm always gonna like it. I'm not somebody that's like picking and choosing. Anytime I see no label come across, I'm liking it. Unless it's like, you know, it's like something like crazy derogatory, or like promoting something crazy wildly. You know, I look at it, I look at the caption, I listen to it, and I see what it is, and I like it. But like, I'm not gonna just breeze, you know, go by it and just not like it. I think the support aspect is sometimes, I think, what people forget about. And you know, I know it's just likes and clicks, but like, you know, it helps build things, you know?
Building that traction, and it's like, a lot of it deals with momentum.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because when you're up top, you're going to see the same people on the way up as you see on the way down.
Yeah.
So it's like, we help, and we wash, one hand washes the other, where it's like, okay, I'm up right now. Yeah, come up here. Da, 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 da. Then you sling up, then it's like, okay, now I can help and lift you up. And then that's how you keep that reciprocal like gain from everybody.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, I think my boys DJ Milk and DJ Yes, they do a lot of stuff for the Bills. You know what they always say? There's plenty of work to go around, and like that's something that I always say to them. Like, there's plenty of spots to DJ. Like, there's but like to that point, if I'm being honest with you, so like I have Marlasia. Shout out to DJ Liberty. She's pretty much
Shout
my
out to
daughter.
Liberty.
Okay, like if you don't know about her, everybody knows the story, so I don't want to give you the long version, but I taught her in 7th grade as a student.
Oh wow.
She came up to me when she was 18 years old in a mall. I've always wanted to DJ. Can you started chatting with me, and she's
On point, yeah.
she makes me so proud in so many different ways. Even beyond, it's just like I think Dip said, more than music. It was more than music. And like she's made me so proud in so many different ways, man. I could cry talking about it. But like, I always like if I'm already booked for something, I reach out to her, and then if she can't, I try to feed word to other people. But sometimes people, they're like, I've had people pull me up at the casino. Hey, you gave me so and so for a wedding. I go, yeah. Don't ever do it again. I'm like, oh darn, man. So it's like it sometimes can be a little bit challenging sometimes to refer out people because sometimes they kind of burn and then
you can't burn your bridges.
Yeah. So
Hey, it takes that real quality and it takes those like that time and effort to really be good at what you do.
Yeah,
and
I think
it's no shortcuts. You can't. Nobody's going to put you in position. Like you're going to be good enough, and that position will present itself. It's like when you're ready, the teacher will come. It's one of those.
Yeah, and I think like I was just talking to my boy Kane about it. Shouts to my boy. He's one of my best friends, and he was like, man, he's like, one thing I'll say about you, man, is like you take no shortcuts. You just grind. And I think like to your point about the DJing thing, I think like out of every venue that I've ever been asked to DJ at or that I've DJed at, I've been asked to. I don't ever go into a venue and, hey, like, can I get in here? Mm-hmm. I think if you work hard enough, eventually people will see you. Sometimes people follow that path of like trying to be in people's faces. Like if somebody's DJing somewhere, hey, I'm a DJ too. Nice. And like, instead of like, I'm not saying don't introduce yourself and tell me that you're a DJ or don't introduce yourself as a DJ, but like if you just put the work in, you'll eventually get seen. I remember just DJing, taking any and every opportunity, and then, oh wow, it led to this, then it transferred over into schools where, oh, Mr. P, my aunt saw you DJ, and then like it just, you kind of, I don't want to use the word bleed into other circles, but it spills over, right? And I think you really get a name out there for yourself, and that word of mouth is super powerful. So I think like I'm not telling people to go chase their dreams, I'm not telling people to hustle, but I'm saying like if you generally put the work in, and you know, like don't get me wrong, there were some events that you know weren't necessarily the most engaging and the most fun to do, but it led to other opportunities, right. and you know. It introduced me to people and it got me to certain places, other places. So
I always have fun when I seen you at Hartman's.
Good, yeah. You know, shout out to my Hartman family, Justin, Jen, and they were. I was the first DJ to ever DJ there, and
fire.
And they were doing a launch of their Loganberry vodka. I was DJing their intern Taylor. Shout out to Taylor. I was DJing her wedding. I didn't do it yet, but they were like, yeah, we're gonna have a band. And then she's like, no, you got to have P Nasty. Well, like 1 hour into me DJing my first time there, they were like, when can you come back? Mm-hmm. And then shouts to I have a crew of my boy, I have a whole crew of my friends that started coming to see me there. And they just, every week I was there, they'd come see me and they just kept supporting, showing love and building, like you said, building traction. They would invite their friends and their friends and their friends.
The other.
And then all of a sudden, like Hartman's now has a line at the door. They're like, yo, what's going on here? So yeah.
Nah, rightfully so, man. You put in that work and you deserve all the accolades and everything that comes with it.
Yeah, like I said, man, I definitely can say like I definitely put in the work and hustle, but you know, I can't tell you enough, man. Like just people, all the people that take the time to come see me and just generally just love me unconditionally, man. I'd be remiss if I didn't say God. I mean, I'm a pretty devout person. I go to church, you know, weekly. I have a daily prayer that I say in the morning. You know, my parents have instilled faith, and you know, you might have seen one of my posts where whenever I go on vacation, my parents always instilled in me, never take a vacation from your faith or your fitness. So I bring workout clothes. I find a church. Because growing up as a kid, we would go out of town a lot of times for like Easter. So we would always find
Okay.
a church to celebrate, the mass and things like that. So, I got to shout out. I mean, God's been so good to me. So
Word. Shout out to God for sure.
yeah,
For sure.
God is dope.
So we do segments here. So
Okay.
I can do the two. So top 5 segment is like basically it's pretty self-explanatory. But so my question would be, who are your top 5 musical influences?
Oof, that's a tough. Notorious B.I.G. has got to be at the top of the list. I think like I have a really big appreciation because I'm a teacher, and his ability with the English language was just incredible, and his ability to tell a story. Gap Band, man,
Outstanding.
yeah. I mean, come on with it. Let's see. Wow, it's I'm like going in through my head of like people that were influential. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Growing up as a kid, for sure. Frank Sinatra, just my parents listening to them and him rather, and just his ability to perform and watching his stage presence. Nas, I've seen Nas a bunch of times, and Nas is just
Performing wise, right? Like at concert.
yeah.
I saw him once. I gotta do that again.
Oh, he's incredible. I saw him twice with Mary J. and once with Lauryn Hill.
So
And most people, I don't know if most people know this, but Nas's DJ is DJing Green Lantern, who's from like Brockport, Rochester area.
Okay.
And Green Lantern had a bunch of mixtapes growing up with like a lot of.
I didn't know Green Lantern was from Brockport. Right?
Yeah, yeah. And his aunt is Sharon. He's married. His wife is her aunt is Sharon Beltman Cottman, who's Buffalo Public Schools board of and she loves me. And the one time she's like, "Yo, I want you to come to try." I was already had tickets. She goes, "You going to the Nas and Mary J show?" I go, "Yeah, how'd you know?" She goes, "Mr. Panessa, I know you." And she goes, "Do you want to meet Green before the show?" So my boy G Money and I, we went, got a chance to meet Green before the show. Trying to think of another. J. Cole.
Cole's
And I'll say Cole because there's so many other people in between that like funk music and things like in the samples, and Jay-Z's incredible, and all those people like J. Cole for me, because of his education, because of his like he's not somebody from the streets, and he always lets people know that he's not anything that he doesn't be anything he's not. He's he went to St. John's, graduated with high honors.
For sure.
So those would be top 5. Pharrell, I gotta say Pharrell too. My bad, Pharrell.
Throw the other P in there.
Yeah, Pharrell, just his style, his everything about Pharrell. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Trying to think.
Man,
Maybe.
Clips now. Oh man, I'm all
Oh
over.
yeah. Oh no. Yeah. You could go on for days.
Man,
Because I was thinking of my own 5 at the time where I'm like.
Who's your top? Who would you say your top influences?
Nas is in there. Absol.
Wow, Absol's a good one.
DMX.
CX.
Music Soul Child.
Oh, Buddy, it's one of my favorites.
And I'm thinking of 5. I want to go something kind of like off the wall.
Michael Jackson. I gotta say Michael Jackson and Prince too. By the way.
Yeah, that's an easy one. I'm trying to think of one that's just like. Shit, I'll throw John Coltrane in there.
Yeah.
I'll throw Coltrane in there just from like the math element because like I'm a math guy.
Yeah.
And he had jazz down to a science.
And what we do is just play the horns like Coltrane. Yeah.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite songs.
So we also have a third eye segment where we touch on spirituality.
Okay, yeah. I remember watching this with Gianni.
Theories.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it before in other guests. Yeah. Third eye.
Word up. So you mentioned earlier just like your parents instilled that faith in you. So Christian?
Yep, Catholic. Yep.
Catholic?
Yep.
Okay. So
but based upon like my dating history, I've been to a lot of different denominations of churches and appreciate it. Yeah.
Word.
Yeah.
So did you at any point in time did you ever like study any other religions?
I think just because it was like based on like sometimes like either like a girl that I was dating or I think like and I think like going back to teaching, I think one thing teachers don't do enough of is ask the students about themselves. And like, you know, so I think like even like when my first year in Buffalo, I was at iPrep Grover. With all the different languages, there was 50 different dialects of language. With all different dialects, there were 50 different languages. Excuse me. So just asking them, and like, so I would ask them about their religion and things like that. So I didn't like deep dive into it, but like just seeing some commonalities that with the Catholic faith and just understanding it, because you know, I think too, like, it creates a mutual respect. So then it kind of lets me know, like, because you know sometimes people might say something off the wall, something that because they're not used to teaching in front of that population, right? And so I always want to be educated with who I'm in front of. But so go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I'm like what I like to do is it's kind of like it kind of like steers itself, because when it comes to like spirituality and just like I think it's a spiral. You know what I'm saying? I remember we asked DJ Hassan.
I know Hassan. Yeah.
So in terms of like
I watched it.
seeing, do you like? I asked him. I'll ask you the same question. Do you feel like DJing or like music can be a spiritual thing?
Oh man, yes. You know too, and I think like too. Even I mean like out there, actually there's a Drake sample that's one of the samples. Lord Knows is like a choir from Buffalo. Like that sample on that sample.
Wow.
If you go back to Lord Knows on Take Care, that sample is from like the. I love when artists use choir in their music in their music. But yeah, I think music can definitely be spiritual. I think like.
What church is it from?
I don't know. I gotta look it up because now I'm drawing a blank. So forgive me on that. But it's.
I never knew that though.
I got you. Yeah, the choir is from Buffalo, and that was a Just Blaze did the sample. Okay, but yeah, music can definitely be spiritual, and I think about, you know, lyrics, kind of sometimes when words fail, lyrics sometimes or words and beat like lyrics and beats can help out express somebody, right? And I think like. When you look at any kind of music, it's a platform that somebody's used because they needed to find that same relief that they find in faith. You know, I always say like, you know, I was saying I came in here, like when I go to church, I leave my phone in the car. It's a time for me to reset. It's a time for me to reboot. In the morning, when I do my daily prayers, same thing. Phone's on Do Not Disturb, and I really take the opportunity, you know, almost.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? It gets my day started off right. And you know what? I want to make sure I'm going in front of young adults. I expect the best from them, so I want to give them the best of me, right? So, and I really, you know, I try to teach them compartmentalizing with life in general. So, and I think about all the times where music, you know, I was explaining too when I came in, I'm a co-parent. I love my son Sebastian. My son Sebastian is the best thing that ever happened to me. You know, the co-parenting stuff is challenging at times. You know, and dropping my son off to his mother, and his mother lives in Rochester area. But you know, I show up for everything. And you know, my son is, like I said, he's one of my best friends. And you know, I think whenever I drop him off, I have a playlist that I go to because I need it.
Absolutely.
And it's spiritual in that sense where it keeps me grounded. It takes the heaviness from my heart sometimes away. And I think that's the same thing that we do with God. Like, you know, when we go to church and we look for answers, right? And you know, music is that sound sometimes help you bring clarity. And, you know, whenever I have to like kind of like write a response email to somebody or like a difficult topic, whether it's maybe with his mom or with something else, I go on a run and I have music in my ear and I think it out thoroughly.
Word.
And I find answers. I find clarity.
Rightfully so. And
I hope that made sense, right?
No, absolutely.
The spirituality point of it.
Oh yeah. Because I think about it like you mentioned earlier, like your parents were high school sweethearts. They're still married to this day.
Yeah.
And then it's like I could only imagine how difficult that can be now that you're, as a kid, you want to envision the same thing as your parents, and then your co-parents, and now. What was there like a specific maybe like a scripture or a word itself that helped you find peace in the situation now and
you know what I think, like, you know, I think about the scripture when he's going to the mountain to give up his son for God, and God says no, like it was just a test, right? And I think about all these tests that have been thrown at me, whether it's through, you know, unfortunately family court or different things, and you know, like I think that scripture and that word, and that word from that scripture, like really shows his relationship with God and how much he trusted God, right? And how much I need to trust God with my son's 7. And I think like it's these constant tests that can sometimes be very challenging.
For sure.
Sometimes unfortunately the test it's not like instant where you take it, you get your results. So
Yeah, it's that slow burn, man.
Yeah.
But it all comes into play.
And I think like love, like honestly, like the love is patient, the love is kind. And I think like, it's helped me to like really stay grounded and realize that, over time, these relationships I'm building with my son and no matter what's going on, I mean, you got to just
be
patient.
Find the light and take it step by step.
Every day.
Nah, that's fire. That's fire.
Yeah.
So, for the people who haven't seen you live or just haven't been to any of your events, what's the best way for them to like get in touch with you and experience the DJ P Nasty?
Well, that's your first homework assignment. I know we said I'm a teacher. Why you lacking? All right. No, but for real. So Instagram at DJ P Nasty, Facebook DJ P Nasty as well. I'm on X, formerly known as Twitter. It's not that active as far as like what that goes, but like I usually post my schedules 2 months in advance. And it's kind of something for everybody. I do stuff that's family friendly. You could bring, you and your family out to. At the casino very often. I do stuff at Hartman's, like you mentioned. And I tap in with some, the private party stuff. But I always say if anybody takes the time to come see me, it's certainly appreciated. And I have some opportunities. I do some stuff in the schools as well. Saturday Academy. I haven't done one of those in a minute, but recently I got the opportunity to DJ some for the Sabres at their game.
Nice.
I did a couple games in October and November. Where I DJed like in front of all the fans, and that was a great experience. So, Instagram, and Facebook, I'm most active. So, I always tell people if you take the time to come see me, it's always appreciated. My fan, my support has helped carry me. I always say like about DJing, and sometimes one of the most challenging parts about DJing is you might be going through some emotionally things throughout the day. But when you show up to that DJ gig, you can't show it because people, who's going to have a good time with a miserable DJ?
Nobody.
Right. So sometimes it's like, it's that compartmentally as I was talking about. Like I try to teach my young adults, like I get to somebody's wedding on a Friday, maybe after a rough day of school, or maybe I'm going through something challenging with the co-parenting stuff. I got to kind of turn that off. And you know what? It's kind of a good release and a therapy. You know what I mean? Like where I can't just go there and be like,
yeah.
I gotta kind of sell it, and so I promise you, if you come out to one of my events, you're gonna have a good time. You're gonna hear something you like. I do take requests, because I think like requests have also helped me rediscover music and even like, oh man, that still does hit. So, but yeah. DJ P Nasty. Like I said, my name's David. So if anybody wants to know where my name came from, first name is David, middle name is Joseph, last name is Panessa. I'm a junior, and I was in Niagara Falls teaching. Math teacher by the name of Mr. Rogers, Bill Rogers. He's like, oh man, and the students all came up with the DJ P Nasty, so it was born. But and I think over the time, most people just call me P, and that's cool too. So it's kind of evolved to P.
Absolutely. Man, we appreciate having you here, man. We're going to have to do a part 2.
Listen, I appreciate you guys taking the time. I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate everybody that's tuning in. And as I said, man, I appreciate Buffalo and beyond who have supported me. And it's like I said, shouts to my parents, my sister. They showed up when there was one person to now when I'm at the Sabres game in front of 18,000. So, but yeah, no, thank you guys for what you guys do. Thank you guys for always taking the time to spotlight and highlight everybody. I tune in as often as I can, and even whether it's listening on the car ride home from Rochester, but I always like to kind of stay up to date with all of our amazing people in the area. So thank you for taking the time and considering me for it. Season 7.
Yes, sir.
Right, I appreciate it being the kickoff, man.
The love is felt, man.
It's there, it's felt, and it's an honor to be here.
You already know.
Yeah.
No Label the Pod. We out of here.
We out.